At InDigital, we know the public safety professionals hold themselves to a high standard. In fact, standard doesn't do it justice. In over 25 years working alongside you, carrying millions of calls over our IP networks, your dedication has inspired us. That's why our ESI Net goes beyond industry standards, not only I3 compliant, but designed to adapt to future development for a network you can count on when it matters most. Learn more at indigital.net.
August 24th, 2016, the I Am 911 movement is born. One of my personal stories set the tone for this movement. What started out as a way to raise awareness for the reclassification issue for dispatchers quickly turned into peer support. 911 professionals from all over the world were sharing their stories. On Facebook alone, at that time, the engagements were over 34 million. It spawned a peer support session at conferences called Imagine Listening, where dispatchers shared their stories out loud or on paper. For years, I have been asked if this would ever become a book, coming June 2023, and available now for pre-order on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. From Titletown Publishing, Imagine Listening, Your Worst Day is Our Everyday. If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and we are here live at the 2023 Navigator Conference. We're currently inside the Industry Partner Hall. A lot of things have been going on today, and it has been excellent. A big thank you to Navigator and the IAD for hosting the podcast once again. We've had a partnership since about 2014, 2015, something like that, and it has been great ever since. So thank you very, very much. Big shout out to patrons of the podcast, subscribers of the podcast, as always. And this broadcast is supported and sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services. And I am excited. I have my guest here today. My guest is Deborah, and she's a dispatch supervisor with Lakeway PD out of Texas. How's it going?
It's going good. A little nervous, but going good.
Oh, no, you are going to be fine. This is going to be good. We were talking earlier and everything. We got a picture together and stuff. And then, there's been so much going on. Did you get a chance to go to the keynote this morning?
I did.
Yes.
It's great.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
You didn't go?
No, I didn't. I had to work. I know. Yeah. So that's one of the things that kind of sucks about this. So like when I was in dispatch still, I was able to go to sessions easily. I could go to the keynote stuff or the closing or whichever. Yep. And, but now I can't because
this is my first one. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
This is your first conference in general?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
So
pretty fancy.
I know. I was going to say, so have you been enjoying it so far?
I have. It's a lot. I think what I've liked the most about it is just the connections you make with other people. And I know That's the same token thing everybody says, but it's so true.
It is. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The networking itself is just so phenomenal because you end up meeting people. And I always tell people, like, if you're with a group, if you're with your clique, try to get out of that just a little bit, so that you can talk to others, because you'll find that there are people that are, of course, like-minded individuals, and you don't feel alone, but also you're learning other things. Like you might have an issue that they may have dealt with, and you're learning from each other. So it's one of the good things.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And you feel alone in your own department. You're with the same people, and they may be fantastic people, but you're alone.
Yeah.
And the issues there, you think, you're on an island with these issues and no one else understands them. And then you come here and just in these classes, you hear other people and you're like, it's my agency. We
Right.
do the same thing. What do you do?
Yes.
This is what we do. This doesn't work. What works for you?
Right.
Like, so excited.
So, I mean, would you recommend others go to conferences as well?
100%.
Awesome.
100%. It's such a benefit. If there's any way that you can get your department, your city, your agency, whoever to sponsor you, to let you go, I think I would probably pay out of pocket myself to go. It's
Nice.
worth it.
Yes. So that right there, that's investing in yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest things is for those that are in a profession, if you want to learn more, if you want to branch out, if you have to invest in yourself, it's definitely worth it, especially all of these sessions.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
So let's hop into our DeLorean. Let's hit 88 miles per hour and let's go back in time because
Why are you aging me right now?
hey, that's one of my favorite movies. So how did you get into public safety to begin with?
So it's not a fun or exciting story. It's kind of out of necessity. I was newly divorced. I had been a stay-at-home mom. I had kids in middle school. I wanted to kind of stay in the area that I lived. I didn't want to commute. I lived near Austin. I wanted to be easily accessible to my kids if
Right.
they needed me. And I needed some benefits. And I don't really have any family, didn't know anybody in law enforcement, anything like that. But I saw on my local cities, I think I saw on a city site, and benefits and all the things. And I was like, why not?
Right.
So I took a chance, had zero clue. I thought the same thing, that thing that every dispatcher hates when you meet someone, you tell them what you do, and they say, oh, so hi, 911. How can I help you?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I do. I answer phones all day.
Yes, exactly. But there's so much more to it. And
That
that's
sarcasm that comes with it. But yeah, so that's what I did. I tried it out, and right away they were interested, and I didn't have any idea that the process was going to take a million years.
yes, that's one of the things. So like for myself, when I first started out, it took 2 months or so to find out like my background check and everything. I'm at home, and the chief of police shows up at my house. Yes, he shows up, and my grandmother is like, "What did you do? What's going on? The police are here." I'm like, "I don't know," and but he asks me that day if I'm ready to work, if I want to go in, and I thought, I start next week. And he's like, no, you start tonight. It's like, shit. All right, well, let's do this. So,
That's
there's
such a different story, though. The chief of police at your house. That's great.
yeah, I mean, small police department. Yes. Small city. Everybody knew him. He knew everybody else, and just shows up at the house. Not anything that I ever expected, but I told him the story about how I stole a car.
Yep, I heard all this.
Yes, and that it was a civil situation and stuff, but I thought I had screwed myself by telling that story. But he's just like, nah, man, it's just a background check. But that is something that happens. It takes forever. Now, did you get a chance? Because you're going on 9 years now, right?
Mhm.
Doing this. And looking back at it, though, did you have a chance to do a sit-along or anything like that? Or did you just move?
No.
Oh, shit. So you didn't even get a chance to go in there. They were just like, this is what's going to happen, okay?
Now, as a
And then you were in
supervisor, we don't require it, but we
Yeah.
strongly, advise, come in, see what you're getting into. Because
Right.
it just happened to work out
Yeah.
in my situation, but it was overwhelming. Definitely.
Okay, so as you say, overwhelming, I have to ask, in the interview process, how many people were in there with you?
At that time, I was pretty lucky. There were only 2.
Oh, okay.
Now,
Yeah.
these days, when we interview people, there are more like 4 or 5.
Oh, it's a panel.
And it's more formal than it was then. Things change.
Right, yeah.
Departments grow, all the things. But I was still so nervous.
Well, yeah, because they're probably firing questions at you, right?
Mhm.
And the one person is firing and the other person is building on top of that. And it was kind of the same way that happened with me. And I realized later on, they were testing me. They were
Sure.
testing me to see if I could handle the pressure of the amount of questions that were going to come in, if I could think on my feet to give an answer back.
Sure. I think for me, it was probably good that I didn't know what I was getting into. honestly, because although it was a nervous situation, it was very nerve-wracking. Yeah, I had a lieutenant, which is funny in itself. He had no idea about dispatch, but he knew how to intimidate somebody.
Oh, of course, yes, yeah.
Asking me these questions, but because I didn't know what really it entailed, I didn't know to be scared. I just knew, look, I'm smart, I'm capable, I want to help people, I can do this, not a big deal. You should hire me. And they're like, all right, sounds good. You have a clean background?
She's got moxie. We're going to bring her in. Yes. Yeah. You got clean background. You're ready to do it. Yeah. Awesome. So you end up jumping in there and everything, and still continuing with this overwhelming feeling. Do you remember what it was like walking in there for the first time? And the reason I ask is because for myself, walking into for the first time, not in the first place, not in the PD, but the central dispatch, there's more people working, right? There's way more monitors.
Yep.
And I'm watching them do this. What you would think an octopus would do with a bunch of things, they're doing just with their two hands, yelling and eating at the same time.
Yep.
And that was overwhelming for me. I thought, am I going to be able to do this shit?
Yep. Same. I keep going back and forth. I think about today and then, and I really try not to forget those feelings when you were first starting out, when you're first learning, so that you can bring that to new people.
Yes.
Because it's so scary. And we tend to get away from that and think, it's second nature. It's so easy. Like, what's the problem? Get with it. But yeah, I remember walking in and 6 monitors. We were in a different station, an older, smaller, kind of hole in the wall dispatch. So it was intimidating, but not as much as it would be today. Now our dispatch center looks like Star Trek. You know what I mean? Like it's scary. We're blessed. It's beautiful. It's nice, but it is extremely intimidating.
Like, we're ready to lift off.
But still, I was scared, and I thought, holy crap.
Was there anything at all at the time, even beginning of training or anything, was there anything that surprised you? Or was it kind of how you...
on?
Oh,
No. I had no idea. I thought they answered a phone.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't know what I thought, to be honest with you, but yeah, it was very surprising looking at returns and the doing 50 things at once.
Right.
What is that Chinese they're reading?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what
completely different language. Right. Yes. You've got probably codes and everything. I mean, the 10-4, the 10-24, some of those basic ones, those are the ones that everyone has, right?
Sure.
But other than that, especially if you've got the state working with you as well, you end up moving to just common language. You just go to English.
And luckily, we are more common language. We use probably 15, 20 that everybody uses, even though, not really supposed to, or it's not as common anymore. But yeah, it's overwhelming. There's a lot. There's so much.
I always remember there was one trooper who would always call us out, and we would call out a 10 code, and he would key up and it'd just go, Central, I don't know what you're telling me. Can you just speak plain English? And he's also the same person. Instead of saying "B boy," he would say "B Boston." The only person, the only person who would always say it, "B Boston." They're like, that's so and so. Like, all right,
we know who that is.
Yes, we know who it is completely. So, what about your training? So, how did the training work for you? So, like for us, we had 3 different trainers, and there was 4 different phases. And the 4th phase was the shadow phase, where you're basically working by yourself. The trainer's on the other side of the room if you need help or anything, but you're working like a well-oiled machine with the rest of your team.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Work for the same agency.
Oh, damn. I know. Hell, hey, there you go.
Very similar. How to put this? The training wasn't great, and not at the fault of the trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Just a smaller agency, not... you know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. They did the best they could, but they weren't necessarily trained, not to today's standards anyway. So the training wasn't fantastic. It was more like, here you are, jump in, answer a phone, don't F it up. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And it was more of a situation where when you didn't know what was going on, if it was something priority, your trainer just kind of pushed you out of the way and took over.
Oh, man.
Which these days, the more we know about how people learn and the right thing to do, maybe not the best.
Right.
The best.
Yes.
But I learned. I got there. I had a trainer that was real lax and real easygoing, which I thought that oh, this is great. It took the pressure off. But then when I went to the next trainer, who was the polar opposite of that lax easygoing.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And they went, you've been here how long? It's like you're in week 1, you know? Oh, God. Going home with the eye twitching.
Right.
Like
Yes.
crying.
Of course. Yeah. Because you're going through it, right? With your first trainer, you think you're doing awesome. And then you get to the next person. It's like, what am I doing? What am I doing here? And the reason I say this too is because it was similar for me as well. I go through the first trainer and then the second trainer in my DORs, which for those who are watching the general public, is just basically a report on how you're doing during that shift. Yeah. Every day and stuff. And I was getting marked down because I was not doing it the way that this person did it. I was doing it the way the first person did it, or I was coming up with my own way to do it, which was faster in a sense. But
dispatchers don't appreciate that. Right? They don't. Maybe they should. Maybe they should go, hey, that is
you're doing a good thing.
Teach me that.
Yeah.
That's hard to do, though.
Yeah. And so it was, I know what you mean. It was a hard thing. And I remember I almost quit. I almost stopped.
Oh my God, we're best friends.
Fuck yeah. Woo. Yeah.
Me too. I went in super hyped. I loved it right off the bat, which I didn't really expect, honestly. I needed the job. I needed the security. And very, very quickly, I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. And I'm sure you hear that a lot. But I mean it to my core. I've had opportunities to do other things, and I've thought about doing other things because we don't get paid a whole lot. That's for damn sure.
Yes.
We don't get paid what we're worth. Let's fix that somehow. But I can't. There's too many things to change, too many things to improve, too many people to help, too many new trainees to train in a better, more, I hate to say it, but gentle and kind and let's all make it way.
Right. Yes.
And I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. So I stay.
And that's a good thing too, because there's folks like you, myself, and a lot of other people who are changing this culture where that old guard where it's like, just suck it up, buttercup, and just keep moving, or we're not going to learn your name until you've made it through, which is bullshit, right? Yeah.
You're supposed to be part of this team, but don't say a word. You don't have an opinion. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And it's changing though. That's a good thing. It is changing. And I think, words matter. This is a profession. This is a career, and it's not the industry, it's our profession.
Sure.
And you keep talking like that and put that in people's heads and stuff. And that thought process changes where maybe if we do that and we simply use our most powerful weapon, which is our voice, we can keep people here. What if the short staffing issue, what if that was one of the main things, or maybe if someone just spoke to a person instead of ignoring or whatever, that if they felt heard, acknowledged, whatever, what if that's all it needed for people to stay instead of leaving?
That's for sure a big part of it. I mean, there are a lot of things that could change and improve, but 100% that's a big part of it. There are people that would have made it, I've seen it, that don't because they can't take the backbiting and the, all the things. And it's hard because you want a dispatcher that is tough and that can make a decision and that has a backbone. But for some reason, most of the time that comes with some not so great traits too.
Yeah.
And we let that continue.
Right. The eating of our young.
Yep.
Which is what is changing. As I'm saying, the culture is changing. And that's a good thing. Now, do you remember any of your earlier calls?
So I remember this question. I hear it all the time, and I don't think I had any huge, memorable, big, bad, or really great calls right out the gate. I think that working at a smaller agency, right, it's a lot of the same.
Yeah.
Different, but the same. It was probably years in before I had really memorable calls other than, the awful medicals, the big collisions,
Right. Yes.
those kind of calls. But daily, what stuck with me initially, and it might have kind of been out of fear too, is the smaller calls where you help someone and they appreciate that, or
Yes.
that you made a difference in a small way. That got me through a lot. Definitely. It made me feel good. I went home and said, all right, so we answered a bunch of barking dog calls and, the drunk guy was yelling at his neighbor, but you helped the little old lady, or you made somebody feel good. And that kept me coming back the next day and going, this matters.
Right. Yes.
This is big.
It's what fills your cup.
Sure.
You've got these, and it seems, for those listening and watching, it seems like a small thing, but those are the biggest things. When someone acknowledges that help, when someone says thank you, which doesn't happen a lot. And no, we don't need that thank you. However, when it happens, that helps us to continue to realize this is why we do what we do.
I think we do need it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we say we don't need it. We do this because we want to help. And I think that that's absolutely true in the case. But I think after you do it for a while and you get so many angry people and so many upset people that when you hear it, it almost snaps you back into this matters.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And then you get to reflect. And I think too, a lot of people, when you get those calls over and over and over, some people get a little crusty, but
it happens.
It does. But what I think is good though, is for us to reflect and remember what it was like in the beginning, especially when there's new people coming in.
Huge.
Yes. Because then you realize, we kind of were going through the same things.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I don't know, it might honestly have been from this dang podcast, from hearing discussions about that, because I am telling you, those were some of the hardest times being in training or being just cut loose from training. And after you do it and it becomes second nature, and you're training someone, which I've done for 4 or 5 years now, you train someone and they don't get it in the way you got it, or maybe it takes them a little longer, or they learn it in a different way, and the floor gets busy and there's 15 things going on, and it seems like the simplest thing to you, and you're already 6 steps ahead to the next thing.
Right.
And you want to go like, come on, let's go, but that doesn't work.
Right. No,
it doesn't work.
No.
That's someone back every time.
Yeah, it makes them more nervous than what they probably already are.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they beat themselves up even more than necessary. Like, there's a time and a place to say, okay, we've been over this 16 times. It's time to get it done.
Right.
But yeah, so I try to always remember that. And I felt myself in that place before, like, this guy or this, chick, like, when, like, I need a drink, something. And I don't even drink.
So, and along with that as well, I remember, so I was a supervisor as well. I wasn't a certified training officer. I wasn't a CTO, but there was a point where all of us had to be trainers because we were short staffed enough that everybody was getting forced over, voluntold. Like, it was a horrible, morale was down and everything. But when I would talk to people and do the training part, I would tell them, this is how it was for me in the beginning, so that we could relate. But if there was something like that they forgot or anything else that I had to write down on their DOR, I would tell them, we would walk through it, but I would also say, listen, there's nothing else that I can say to you that will probably make you feel worse than how you feel right now already, because we beat ourselves up.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
Especially
we're our
people
own
in
worst
this
critic.
Profession that are meant to be in this profession.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it because you love it and you do it because you know it makes a difference, then 100%. You make a mistake, you don't let yourself.
No, it eats at you.
The other good thing that, and I don't know why I do this to myself, but I can't stand, I know that feeling. It's such an awful feeling. So when my trainee does something stupid, for lack of a better word, because we all do stupid shit.
Right, yes,
Still to
yes.
this day. For some reason, I always tell myself afterwards, don't do that. Do it on the floor in front of everybody in their life. I always immediately tell a story where I did something stupid.
Oh, that's good.
And
Yes.
it helps them.
Right.
But I'm like, pick a better one, Deborah. Like, I picked the dumbest one where they're like, oh my God. But it helps. You
It
can
does.
see
It does.
in the face of someone when they do something and they're just like, and that can spiral and the whole day is screwed.
It's because you are showing that you are also human and that they are human and that we make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it helps them feel
they look at
better.
you as the trainer or the supervisor or the senior dispatcher, and they think, I can never get there.
Yeah.
I felt that way so many times. I felt like,
Same.
oh, I'm not as smart as all this is not going to happen.
So as we're talking about this, I feel like your decision to move up to supervisor or trainer or whichever kind of had to do with the fact that, as you said in the beginning, the training was kind of crap. So in out of all the people that I've spoken to, out of all of these episodes, it's always one or the other. Either someone had amazing training and they wanted to continue that legacy of that training for the new people coming in, or they had shit training and they wanted to change something for the new people coming in so that they wouldn't have to deal with the same shit that they did.
Sure.
So for you, it kind of feels like that was a motivator as well to end up moving into that, to kind of mold this other generation of dispatchers that are coming in. So as we're talking about this as well, and kind of going into the wrap up of this episode, I want to talk really quick about, QA and training programs, tips, and or standards, because you've got this project, right, that you're kind of working on, and you kind of want to reach out to the audience as well to see if, well, I'm paraphrasing here. I want you to explain this, because it's
Okay.
basically, I basically said it. She wants to know what any of you might be doing that is good for something that you're trying to do as well.
Sure. Can I backtrack just a little?
Of course, yes.
So my agency's training wasn't great, but I did have some great training. And that was due to the trainers, right?
That's always
So
a good thing.
I just want to put that in there.
Of
there
course.
was some more lax, but I don't want to make it seem like it was just shit, because it wasn't.
Yeah,
It could have just been a lot better.
of course. Yeah. And a lot of places are like that as well.
Sure. So, yes, we are now, I've taken over training in the past little over a year, and it's a lot. It's a lot, and I want to make it better, and I want to improve. And we are also implementing QA, which the dispatchers aren't super excited about, shockingly.
Yes, because when I was a supervisor, I was the one in there doing all the calls, and I would always have someone say on my team, Ricardo, I hope you don't QA that one because I missed a couple of questions. I'm like, all right, I'll make sure to pick that one.
Yeah. So I'd like to reach out to fellow dispatchers, trainers, supervisors. I really don't care if you've been there 2 weeks. If you've got a good idea, something to share,
Yes.
I want to hear it. So if you have a training plan that you've put together, some type of structure in the way you do things, whether that's QA or training, I want to know. Send me 1 million emails. I want to steal all your good ideas and use them in my department. And I'm more than happy to share ours with you, because although we're growing and we're building and we're always trying to improve, I'm sure we have something to share, and I'm more than happy to do that as well.
Perfect. So how can people get a hold of you to be able to do this?
They can email me. Should I say my email?
I mean, if you want to, you can either say it, or I'll simply add it to the post that ends up going out with this. All right. Excellent. So as we go into the wrap up of this episode, it has been phenomenal to have you on here to learn more about you and your love for this profession. I mean, I can see it, I can hear it in your tone, and how you want to basically leave this profession better than how you found it for those coming in. So
100 million, trillion %.
yes. So if you could go back in time with the knowledge that you have now to talk to yourself in the beginning of your dispatch career, what advice would you give yourself?
hang in there.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. You're smart enough. Ask more questions. Don't be scared. And here's the thing, still to this day, that I struggle with, and I think other people do too. Doesn't matter how long you've been in this business.
Yeah.
If you don't know, ask.
Yes.
And if somebody is going to come at you for that or have something to say about that, then who cares?
Right.
You don't need them.
Yes.
It's the man in the arena who gets the credit. It's not the people out here, throwing the stones and having something to say. Like, do your best. Use the resources that you have, the people that you have, and just keep moving forward.
Perfect. Boom. Mic drop.
Bam.
Holy shit. Very nice. Very
Thank
nice. Again, it has been amazing to have you on here, and reach out. Look for the post.
Please.
I'm going to have her email on there, and reach out and let Deborah know.
Help us out. We're trying to improve.
There you go. And that's all we want to do is improve and continue to do so many different things. So again, I thank you very much. I thank you for the job that you do and your love for this profession and wanting to help others learn. So for those who are watching, if you have any comments, questions, or you want to be a guest on the show, you can email us, and that's going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is wttpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook. To make it easier, bottom left-hand corner. But for those who are watching right now, simply go to links.co. That's links with 2 I's.co/WTT podcast. That's my bio page. You'll find everything there for social media, how to email, how to listen to episodes, and how to become a subscriber of the podcast as well for bonus content and so many other things. This can be seen on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, as well as LinkedIn Live. This episode has been sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services, and a big shout out and thank you to Navigator and the IAD for having us here, for hosting us as always, and also subscribers of the podcast. You can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.